The youngest underage son of Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov, Adam, will be getting married next weekend. The 17-year-old is being promoted as his father's successor, which Russian dictator Vladimir Putin does not like. This was reported by the Russian telegram channel VCHK OGPU, which is close to the Russian special services. The first to leak information about the wedding was Kadyrov's daughter, Aishat, on Instagram. The wedding is reportedly planned in the family home in the ancestral village of Akhmat Yurt, and apparently it will be a dynastic marriage. The main subtext of the event was Kadyrov the Elder's desire to appoint his son as his successor. However, the Kremlin did not accept such an ambition. Putin considers Kadyrov's question about the succession of power in Chechnya to be an encroachment on his power, and he most likely will not forgive this, the Russian channel writes. The conflict between Putin and Kadyrov flared up after their meeting in August 2024. The gravely ill Chechen leader asked for permission to hand over power to Adam. When he was refused, he reportedly began behind-the-scenes negotiations with the Qatari authorities, which only increased tensions between Chechnya and Moscow. Kadyrov's negotiations with Qatar, according to the channel, have caused concern in the Kremlin. Chechen security forces and racketeering groups were banned from active mode of operation, and State Duma deputy Adam Delimkhanov was threatened with the publication of old, incriminating evidence if he was implicated in this story. Meanwhile, Kadyrov apparently has not given up on the idea of making the minor Adam his successor. The teenager receives very influential positions and awards. He is 17 years old, and he is already the curator of the Republic's Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Secretary of the Security Council of Chechnya. He has dozens of state awards, including the Order of Hero of the Chechen Republic, the Medal for Military Merit from the Russian Guard, and commemorative badges from the OMON. According to Russian law, it is impossible to appoint the minor Adam to the post of head of Chechnya. Formally, he will have to wait until he turns 30. However, for Russia, where even the constitution has been trampled by the dictator, this is not a problem. Kadyrov Sr.'s health appears to be rapidly deteriorating. According to political strategist Stanislav Belkovsky, the Chechen leader has adrenal cancer with metastasis in the lungs. In such circumstances, Adam's promotion can be seen as an attempt to ensure the family's political security when the Chechen leader leaves. Kadyrov has also become much weaker in the political sphere. He still has resources, but a conflict with the Kremlin could prove fatal. The situation with the dying Kadyrov is a serious political challenge for the entire vertical of Putin's regime.
Ukrainian troops have destroyed North Korea's M1991 multiple launch rocket system in eastern Donetsk region. The video shared in Telegram app captures the strike on the Russian target. The operation to destroy the MLRS was carried out by fighters of Raid Battalion of Ukraine's Unmanned Systems Forces in Novopavlovsk village of Pokrovsk city in eastern Donetsk region. The pilot involved in the operation struck one of the projectiles on the package of guides with an attack UAV. The ammunition detonated and pierced the crew cabin, and then detonated the entire ammunition. It should be noted that North Korea has provided about 120 170mm M1989 Koksan self-propelled artillery guns and 120 M1991 240mm multiple launch rocket systems to Russia between November 2024 and January 2025.
The European Union intends to supply Ukraine with 4 million drones this year, and the country is also actively developing its own UAV production. In addition, China, Turkey and many other countries supply Ukraine with drones, which allows the Ukrainian armed forces to attack Russian territory. This was reported on his Telegram channel by former FSB officer Igor Girkin-Strelkov, who is currently serving time in a Russian prison. He expressed the opinion that, thanks to a large number of drones, the Ukrainians will exhaust Russia, and Europe can produce as many weapons, as many electronics as it wants, which it will supply against the Russian Federation. Therefore, the fact that the country has not yet embarked on a war footing, and that such an attempt has not even been made yet, objectively leads us to defeat in the war, to the fact that there will be many blows, and over time these blows will become more and more painful and will turn into large-scale military catastrophes. Unfortunately, this is almost inevitable. Igor Girkin-Strelkov said, in this case, President Volodymyr Zelensky called on NATO countries to invest in Ukrainian defense companies and create joint ventures to increase arms production and support Ukraine. Volodymyr Zelensky spoke about the capabilities of the Ukrainian defense industry during his speech at the NATO summit in The Hague. The production potential of the Ukrainian defense industry has exceeded $35 billion and already offers about 1,000 samples of defense products, from artillery and armored vehicles to drones of all types and missiles. However, only about 45% of our capacity is utilized. We can already produce about 8 million drones annually, but funding is far from these figures, Volodymyr Zelensky said. He noted that today Ukraine is open to various forms of cooperation in the defense sector, including the exchange of Ukrainian competencies and technological achievements with those who help the most. We must lead the arms race in the field of unmanned systems, both attack drones and interceptors, as well as traditional weapons, he added. It is worth noting that the announced capacity to produce 8 million drones is not fantastic. For example, in October last year, the president reported on the possibility of producing 4 million drones, of which 1.5 million units were contracted by the state at that time. Most of the million-dollar production volumes are accounted for by FPV drones, which are used in large quantities on the front line and have long since partially replaced the niche of precision missile weapons and artillery. Demand for FPVs is still growing, and so production is scaling up. In particular, Oleksiy Babenko, owner of the Ukrainian company Vyry Drone, said that according to average estimates, the annual assembly of 1 million drones from off-the-shelf components requires a staff of 400 employees. Accordingly, the conditional production of 8 million drones of this type is not a difficult task if there are enough resources.